Hello, friends. Hi. Just waiting for a couple people to get here. We're going to be talking about a couple of things tonight. My last video went green! Oh my gosh! Yay! It went green with the help of your love and your support. But, listen, okay, it didn't do too well. It didn't do too well, but it went green. It only got 88 views. So send your friends, send your family, send everyone you know to watch the last video. It's the only one to go green. All the other ones that we've done are like way up there. So, but it went green. So you're like, wait, you said you were only going to do this series until you got your first green monetized video. And you're like, you're right. But I couldn't end our little series there. We had to talk about the myths and misconceptions in witchcraft. And there's a lot of them. But not like a huge, scary amount. Just, there's the ones that we've covered, like the myth and the misconception that you need to have the expensive altars and the tools and all that stuff. Like, we cover that. Like, you don't need that. Like, right? Like, you people aren't stupid, right? You don't need to have it, in case you're wondering. Like, you really don't. And then, what other myths and misconceptions in witchcraft are there? Well, you don't need to read and absorb. Oh, finally, Boone finishes his drink, but his glass is all gross looking. Like, Jesus, what'd you do? Throw up in it? I was looking at Boone's. It's not an altar for Boone. It's a private altar, but I left a shot of tequila out for him a couple of weeks ago, and usually he just drinks it, and the glass is left clean. But this one, the glass is all dirty and gross. So, with that one out of the way, what other misconceptions are there? Like, think about the craft. What comes to your mind? We obviously don't work with the devil. I mean, that's subjective. And I think it harmed Wicca a lot more than it did general witchcraft. Because if you told your parents, right, like, this is where that whole misconception of if you practice Wicca, you must practice witchcraft comes from, because they're two separate things that just happen to intertwine, right? Like, we talked about this in the Wicca is not witchcraft episode of this little series. And we said that Wicca is a faith-based religion and witchcraft is a practice and not a religion. So the whole misconception of Wicca being witchcraft is another misconception. We've also got the whole witches work with the devil, witches are evil. And that mostly came about because of Wicca. Like, when Wicca was really becoming a thing, and you remember that episode of Buffy where all the witches were being burned at the stake, or like any time the charmed ones were like exposed and like the world was like, oh, they're evil, right? Like, that all comes because of Wicca, because Wicca is so heavily tied to witchcraft in the minds of most people anywhere, even though it's not. So there's this pretend misconception of witchcraft being, the devil, the devil's work. Now, before that, there were obviously witch burnings, right? Like, there was biblical bullshit, and then, every now and then you don't hear about it now, but back in the old days, when your TVs were still black and white, and there were wise women in your, like, if you lived rurally, wise women would be called upon for certain things, but even they were regarded as outcasts and suspicious behavior and all that crap. But we don't work with the devil, is my point. Okay, so obviously we don't work. Why is there only 3 of you? It's after 10 o'clock. Oh, it's Saturday. Well, it's not like any of my YouTubers have anything like, it's not like they have a life. Fine, just do this alone. There's only 3 of you here. I should have done this in like the middle of the day. You know. What else do we have from myths and misconceptions? I never go out on Saturday. I don't go out at all. We've also got this misconception of, well, it's not really a misconception. It's more of just my craft is better than your craft type thing. Or there's only one way to do the craft. I guess that the misconception would be there's only one way to do the craft, which is very elitist. But that's wrong. That's wrong thinking. We've also got a misconception that witchcraft is dangerous. Witchcraft is not dangerous. It's not dangerous at all. Like, who actually believes that witchcraft is dangerous? Like, do you have a mental defect? Serious question. We like to brag about how dangerous magic is. We like to talk about the scary things we work with, the things that go bump in the night. We're really just measuring, right? Like, we're trying to keep this video green. Magic is not scary. What's so scary about magic? Well, you're going to unleash things. You're gonna unleash things, and you don't know what you're doing, and it's gonna go wrong, and it's gonna backfire, and it's gonna hurt you, and all this other stuff. Is it gonna kill you? No. Is it gonna make you really, really sick? Probably not. It could scare you. Ooh. Boo-hoo. Magic isn't dangerous. Well, in the wrong hands, all they're going to do is hurt themselves. But how exactly are they going to hurt themselves? Magic, at the end of the day, no matter what type of form it takes, whether it's a god, a goddess, a demon, an entity, a spirit, whatever it is just energy. Magic is not a terrifying or scary, secretive, in the shadows thing. At least modern day witchcraft isn't. when you start digging into some of the deeper, older, more primitive ways of doing magic, that is when it becomes questionable, mostly because it can break you mentally. Another misconception, threefold. Every action has an opposite and equal reaction. So if I curse you, it's going to come back to me because every action has an equal, not 3 times equal, but equal. But if you know what you're doing, it's not going to come back to you. Because if you're closing the doors, can you like figure out if you're digging into the towel or not, like elsewhere? Like move your damn tail. Jesus Christ. Cats, they're like small children. Anyways. If you know what you're doing when you're cursing someone and you're making sure to close all of the doors and you've set up your "you can't find me," type of thing, then you got nothing to worry about. When I work with demonic entities to gain the things that I want, they take advantage of an opportunity in order to give me what I want. That's how it works. That's generally how magic in general works. Whether you're getting a demon or a god or a goddess or whatever to do it for you, they're just taking advantage of a situation. I don't understand this. It's 10:30 at night and there's 2 people here. Like, where did you people go? Like, aren't you people excited to see a train wreck before your eyes? Like, I could hold a Q&A right now. I could start talking about Cindy Lou Who. I could start spilling all kinds of tea. I could start cussing out all kinds of people. No one would know or see it. Because no one's here. It's just the fun people left. Everyone's gone. Forever. But anyways, so magic doesn't technically have consequences. See, I started talking about people, my viewers jump. Thank you. We were talking about magic having consequences. And it doesn't. But it can. It could backfire. It could not work out properly. But it's not really a consequence. A consequence is something that happens to you. So now, there's your misconception. Magic does not have consequences. The consequences that we hear about are moralistic consequences. We always fear, if I smack this hoe down, I wonder if I can say that on YouTube, then I'll feel guilty. And by having those kind of thoughts when smacking a hoe down, can really lead to you actually feeling guilty. And that's not because the spell is failing. It could actually be smacking the hoe down, but also making you feel guilty because you're allowing that to manifest. So the only consequence that you put on yourself whenever you do any kind of magic is self-sabotage by your own moralistic compass. That's your consequences. But there's no consequences like on TV. You're not gonna get in trouble. No one's gonna wag their finger at you. But for some reason, some Wiccans who live by this ridiculous notion of threefold crap that is just not real at all and is fake and new agey. But that is my opinion. And if you want to practice that way, then by all means, continue. It's just my, looking at what you're doing, and I'm like, no, you should stop doing that, but you're not going to, and that's okay. That's your right. I also have the right to sit here and tell you, stop doing that. Threefold is just no. I mean, don't even get me started on karma. That is some very bastardized understanding of the Eastern philosophy of karma. It is it's funny, it's really hilarious because there's these witches out there in the sphere of the world of witches who believe that threefold and New Age and Wicca and all of that is really dumb and stupid. But then you get those same witches who say, oh, karma's gonna get you. And what they're using is a New Age reference to an Eastern philosophy that the West has just borrowed, simplified, cultural appropriated, and just threw at the masses. So it's hilarious because karma is also stupid. The way we use karma, we've manifested it into something else. We've said, okay, it means that when that person does something bad, anything that happens to them after that is bad to them is karma. That's not what it means at all. That is not what karma means. That is another misconception. And a very bad one at that. Like, Jesus, no. Stop that. You don't know what you're talking about. When you don't know what you're talking about, please stop talking. It infuriates me and it makes me nauseous with rage. Oh, hey, Amy. It really does. So what other misconceptions do we have in witchcraft? Well, anybody? Like, I'm trying to think of, like, misconceptions that we have on witchcraft. Oh, this... Oh, wait, 1 second. What is it then when someone is a beepity boppity, then we see them get payback? That's just their energy attracting that negative energy towards them. You might call that karma, but that's not the appropriate term for it. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not karma. This concept of broom closets. I'm sorry, what is witchcraft a sexuality now? I have to hide witchcraft from my mommy and my daddy. Well, then you're far too young to be practicing. I live in a very religious household. So then move out. I'm 16. So then, like, wait 2 more years. Like, what is the point here? My husband, something violent if I practice witchcraft. You need to leave that situation. This concept of a broom closet and coming out of a broom closet and being in a broom closet, like I don't really understand how you manage to get into that situation unless you're under 18. And even if you are under 18, how are you in that situation? Practicing witchcraft today is not a criminal act. I'm 44 and my mom still freaks if I mention any religion other than the way I was raised. So, you're 44 years old. Tell her to get over it. Like, seriously, right? Like, there are people who are 44, 55, 36, 60, and they're in a broom closet. 25 and in a broom closet. I mean, I can understand not flaunting your craft in people's face, right? Like this Maya lady, maybe her mom is just like, oh my God, like, no, just zip it, woman. We will only talk about Jesus in this house. Like, then you'd be respectful and you would talk about Jesus in her house. But if she comes over to your house and you got the whole altar and you've got your whole witchcraft thing going on and she gonna freak out, well, then she can leave your house. Because guess what, honey sweetie cheeks? That's your house. Now, if you living with her, I don't know how to help you. Because there's a lot more going on there than meets the eye. But we're pretending you don't live with her. What is a broom closet? Like hiding? Yes. Now, I'm not shaming people. I'm not shaming you out of the closet. I want to. Because it makes absolutely zero sense to me why a grown-ass adult would hide their craft in their own home from anybody, whether it be family or neighbors. Like, I mean, I don't really see us, like, you know what I mean? Like, what is the purpose of that? When you're a grown adult, upside I live 1,000. Yeah, so she doesn't live with her mother. Thank God. Because that would be a sticky situation. Broom closet is in the Urban Dictionary. Yes, we know what it means. No, that is not. No, just Jesus. No, Marg, you know what? Just stop talking. You're on timeout. But this concept of being 45 years old and coming out of your broom closet is a little weird. Maybe there's extenuating circumstances, but I have a feeling no. Witchcraft is not a terrible thing. And if you're under 18 and you're all like, wow, my parents are Christian and I'm not a Christian, and you're in their house. You may not be a Christian, but you need to respect them. And hiding who you are just doesn't seem very witchy. It just seems very attention seeking, right? Like, it's just like when a teenager's like, ooh, I got a secret. I'm a secret witch. And I don't let my parents know because they're deeply Christian. And like, you're just doing it for attention. There's ways where you can practice respectfully of other people's religions in the household that you live in, but I don't think you need to subjugate yourself to what is known as a broom closet. Like, it's not a no. It is the opinion of the witchy show that this misconception of a broom closet is just that. Like, witchcraft shouldn't be something you have to hide to enjoy. It shouldn't be this thing that you just put away at the end of the day. You can't put witchcraft away. That's the other misconception, okay? Is that you can't just put witchcraft away at the end of the day. Hi, no, you don't, Maya. She probably does, but it is my opinion and only mine and nobody else's that you shouldn't. It's not a hammer you pick up when you need a hammer. It's a set of tools that you carry with you throughout the day, throughout all of your days. Your gods and goddesses, your spirits, always with you in some form or fashion, guiding you. Sometimes you need to reach out to them, communicate with them, sit down and go to the astral plane. It's not that you need to be doing a spell or a ritual every single day, but lighting an incense every now and then for them, lighting a candle. And I'm talking more than once a week. Like, people, relax. So it is a misconception that you can just pick up witchcraft like it's nothing. Well, I need witchcraft for this money spell. I need witchcraft for this, like, thing that I'm doing. But then I don't need witchcraft anymore after that. No, that's not how it works. Witchcraft isn't a toy. It's not something you play with, and it's not because it's dangerous, it's because it's disrespectful. Witchcraft is a dedication, a practice. Hollywood would paint it as dangerous to dabble in witchcraft because you don't know what forces you'll awaken. Witchcraft isn't dangerous, it's not going to kill you. Might mess a few things up, but the universe always corrects itself eventually. It is a misconception that witchcraft is a secretive, initiation-based thing. I'm talking about witchcraft, not Wicca, not voodoo. I'm talking witchcraft. The thing practiced by a lot of white people. Okay. Witchcraft. The thing that I practice, the thing that Ravenways practices, the thing that Ember Honey Raven practices. You don't need to be initiated. And it's not a secret. It's not some secret organization that only top tier people are allowed in. I don't know where that came from, but that's inappropriate. And it's not true. What else isn't true? It's also not true that witchcraft can do everything. You can't do everything with witchcraft. You can't win your $1 million. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do anything. What are your opinions on self-initiation? I think it's amazing. I think it's absolutely amazing. I think it is a way to dedicate yourself truly and fully to the craft. And I don't think it's just that Wiccans can do it. I think any witch can do it. A traditional witch can do it. A magician like myself can do it, you know, where I work with like folkloric kind of magic, spirits, demons. Any kind of initiation ritual that you can think of, that you come up with, that would be amazing. That would be your first, that could be your first spell and your first ritual. Dedicate yourself fully to the craft by self-initiating yourself into your path. You can definitely do it. I encourage you. Encourage all of you. So, witchcraft isn't secret. Witchcraft isn't some, you know, thing that you need to spend decades and decades researching before you can get into. Witchcraft doesn't have levels. A level 1 witch, a level 2 witch. I was watching some YouTube video and some lady was talking about social media, and she was talking about how some guy messaged her and said, hey, what level of a witch are you? And she's like, well, I'm not a Wiccan, which is more of a religion than it is a practice. So witchcraft is a practice and witchcraft doesn't have levels. So she was like, I'm not a witch. I mean, I'm not a Wiccan, I'm a witch. And the guy's like, oh, well, you must not be a real witch then. I'm sorry, people, this is not Dungeons and Dragons and this is not Final Fantasy. This is reality. Witchcraft doesn't have levels. Witchcraft also doesn't have a specific way of practicing. Obviously. Everybody's practice is different. I work with demons, you work with Hecate, I work with Morgon, you work with spirits of the dead, you know? There is no one way to practice witchcraft. Don't try and tell me, well, in Wicca is not witchcraft. Okay, get that through your skull. Wicca is not, nor will it ever be, witchcraft. You are a Wiccan, not a witch. You can be a Wiccan who practices witchcraft, but you're a Wiccan. You disguise your practice of witchcraft behind a valid religion. Okay, Amy, what are you talking about? Nobody is cranky. Like, what are you even on? I'm on a lot of Mary and a lot of Jane, but I don't know what you're on. Anyways, so you don't need to study for decades, but you will always be researching, because witchcraft is, it's not, because it's not a structured way of practicing. You can have it structured if you want. There's lots of people who structure their witchcraft, but it's not inherently a structured craft. It's one that you structure. It's one that you make your own. You decide, as opposed to some book or some whatever YouTube channel, educational video, whatever the fuck it is. You decide how your craft works. You decide how your craft is structured. You decide what your craft is. Do you work with a deity or don't you work with a deity? Do you work with the elements or don't you work with the elements? Do you work with demons or don't you work with demons? Like, what is it that you do in your craft? Like, that is how you define your craft. And then there's lots of resources out there for you to figure out how to go about practicing this craft that you've laid out. And it's not that you have to structure it and plan it all out before you start practicing. No. Just start practicing and figure it out as you go. Maybe you've got a situation coming up where you could use a honey jar spell. So you research how to do a honey jar spell. And you do that. Obviously, don't do it step by step. Maybe the similar ingredients or, you know, something along those lines. YouTube is great for lots of tutorial videos, but I don't recommend you following the spell off of YouTube step for step, because it might not work due to the different types of energies that would be put into it. Make it your own. That's the fun part about witchcraft. Because, as I said, that it's not structured and there's no rules and no practice will ever be the same, you can make up your own spells. I do it all the time. Well, actually, I don't do it. The spirits do it. I record the really cool ones. But I don't make up any spells. There's no hocus pocus here. There's no making anything up here. It's the fucking spirits. They're like, hey, we need you to do this, and you're going to do it this way with these ingredients on this night, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And you're going to form relationships in your craft, and you're going to form experiences, and you're going to have your own experiences, and you're going to find your own ways of dealing with things. And you might find them really cool, and so you start putting them on YouTube. You start sharing them, sharing your experiences. That is all of my advice for a new witch. Five videos. I'm a genius. Helping a new witch. You're like, what 5 videos are you talking about? All the ones with kitties on them. It's my little series that I just did live with you for like, what, the last 5 nights? Can we just be watchers? No, you have to be a witch. Oh. Yes. I mean, you don't have to share it on YouTube. I'm saying if you wanted to. Your craft can be as secretive and as private as you want, which is really interesting because people think that your craft, you know, with Instagram and all that, it should be public. But you should have a sense of secrecy in your craft, especially like for people like me who share about 90% of their craft, they're going to have a lot of secrecy. I don't want it to come across as this mysterious thing. It's like, ooh, is there more going on behind the curtains? Like, transparency. Love us if we want to watch. No, I only love you if you will make YouTube videos, Amy. That's it. I can't love you if you watch. I can only love you if you create. I love everybody. So just calm down and breathe. Okay, take a deep breath. Let out the deep breath. And push. That baby's coming out one way or the other. Let me tell you something. You can be anything you want to be when it comes to witchcraft. You can work with anything. I mean, be respectful for fuck's sakes, but you can work with anything. The only reason throughout my little live or my little series that I've been doing live for like 5 episodes, the only reason I've been talking a lot about YouTube specifically and creating content for YouTube is because, as I said in the last video, we don't have a lot of witchy content creators that are easy to find. That's the problem. You have to ask your viewer base, your subscribers, to list off their favorite witchy channels to watch in order to find anybody. That's one of the reasons why in this series I've been talking about YouTube and content creation. It's not that I want you who's watching to instantly go out and create content tomorrow, but I want people to realize that this is a fun, safe environment where the drama is gone and all of that stuff is gone, and we can start creating content. I mean, Cindy Lou Who is gone. Like, how exciting is that? Cat to Be Magic is gone. My witchy side is gone. Right? Now, we have lost, as I had stated in previous videos, some big named witches either died or just left. But the more of us there are, the easier it is to find new witches. And the other thing is that documenting your journey when you're new, whether you choose to share it or not, in some form or fashion, whether it's with a Book of Shadows, and there is a live chat that me and Lunar Wisdom did on my channel about a Book of Shadows, and you can find it, and it talks about the basics of a Book of Shadows. And for me, the way I like to document my craft is by going on YouTube. I'll create a series like this one where we talk about what it's like to be new to the craft. And when I talk about what it's like to be new to the craft, it's not necessarily like all the questions you're going to have or anything like that. It's about finding the resources in a social media driven era and how to navigate that and how to understand that. Why aren't there a lot of witches making videos? Because they're afraid. They're afraid of what other people are going to say. They're afraid of being judged and bullied and hurt. because it's happened. It's happened in the past. It happened a lot in the past. You know, lots of bullying and fighting, but that's all done now. It's all gone. So I think with the new year is going to come like lots of new witchy channels. I'm really hoping that 2020 brings lots of new witchy channels. People exploring their craft. Yeah. No more bullying, no more trolls, no more shade, no more back and forth, you know. So I wanted to do this particular series that I've been doing for like the last 5 nights to really talk about and emphasize just how difficult it's been to find content of substance and depth in the social media driven world. And in the social media driven world, you know, my first video, I threw out a very controversial statement. I said, you know, witchcraft seems to attract very broken women. And I think after doing these last few videos, it attracts all kinds of people. All kinds of people come to witchcraft. And lots of people come to social media. They want to share their experience and their growth and their evolution in their craft. And that is definitely one of the reasons why I have come to YouTube, is to share my growth and experiences in the craft. Now, Casting Crowns says, I'm thinking of making a channel myself. Do it. Do it. Do it. Share with us your knowledge and your wisdom and your craft and your, you know, as much as you want to share. I say do it. You know, I will promote the shite out of your channel. You should definitely do it. What was it like for you guys when you started out in the craft? Can sharing your magic lessen? So first of all, I want you guys to answer this question. What was it like when you started your craft? What was that like for you? Oh, I'm in the middle of the country. I'm mountain time. So let me know, but what I want to talk about while you guys think about that question is, can sharing your magic on YouTube or social media lessen the magic? No. I think a while ago, there was this misconception that people were doing that for validation, that you were to talk about your craft and your lessons. And lots of people like to do that. Like, they talk about their craft, but they don't like to show their craft. And that is understandable. That's different than it being wrong or this conception of it being lessened or coming across as fake or fraudulent. I think documenting our craft from a video perspective, whether we share it or not, allows us to look back at rituals we've done last year or the year before and watch how our craft has evolved. So I don't think it lessens it or makes it any less real. And people who believe that are idiots. What's going on here? Your video series, very impressive. Love the music. Thanks. Yes, but they're gone. Maybe they feel they don't want to expose their magic. Maybe it lessens their power. Well, I'm thinking of making a channel myself. Lonely. Sometimes we never started, but then discover later we were always raised with witchcraft, but it just wasn't labeled. That's you, right? Pretty much. I mean, I discovered Wicca, so I labeled myself. But then I branched off and just kind of wandered through the ethereal planes of existence and just discovered different aspects of magic along the way and picked up bits and pieces. Indiana? No, I'm in Canada. I live in Canada. So being a new witch and navigate and finding the resources you want, a lot of people will go to the internet. And that was the other part of this series, is that I want to talk about, not just the stuff that we've talked about over and over and over and over again, but to state that there are places that are good to get your resources, like YouTube. I mean, anything can be problematic and challenging at times, but you can always usually find what you're looking for. And I like YouTube better because it feels like I'm interacting with a person, even if I'm just sitting there watching. It's like they're talking purposely to me about the thing that I want to learn more about. And like blogs and stuff are fine if I want to quickly look up something. Like, what's a herb good for? Like, what's this particular herb good for? Or like, what's a good ritual for this that I can like, or like, give me some information about this demon. Like, that's great. Books are also great, but unfortunately, unless you can get onto Amazon, most of your local bookstores, unless you're lucky and have a witchy store somewhere in your state or town or city or whatever, you're going to need to get onto Amazon to find the types of books that you want. And even then, it can be a little tricky to find the resources. But YouTube is a really great way to find the resources and to share your knowledge. If we start collectively sharing our knowledge, we can start educating people, more people with curious, because everybody's craft is different, right? So everybody's going to have a different take. Even if you're worried about, oh, well, this particular herb has been covered 850,000 times, think about how many views you're going to get, because it's going to be a part of that 850,000 of them. You just have to find a way to do it differently, do it better, do it more educational. So I'm really excited. And that was the other part of the series, is I wanted to be excited about the new witches that are coming in. And I wanted to do this series to give people insight into just finding themselves in the craft. It's difficult to find yourself in the craft. I'm pretty sure this video will be green. So I will probably end the series after this video. And then I don't have any content coming out until next year. Well, I have an entire series coming on working with demons, Amy. Just gotta get the money. I'm gonna start editing content in January, and I think that's the series I'm gonna start with. And once it's edited, I'm just gonna push it out the door. So it should come sometime in February or March. I'm hoping for February because I have something else coming back in February. Ooh, spooky! I have a few series that are coming out next year, and I'm gonna push them out as I finish editing them. So there may be gaps in between, but I'm also going to try and upload videos regularly so that there isn't just gaps of silence. For me, it was hard to find information because most witches my age are more into New Age, and I never related to that. New Age is not my cup of tea, and I dislike it. I really, really dislike it. I despise New Age to death. But at the same time, I just don't. I don't like New Age. I don't. A small summary, like maybe a commercial on your point of view of why I work with demons as opposed to archangels. New Age not so welcoming, a little snobby East Coast. Not everybody likes New Age. And they are not a very welcoming, they're just a very uptight stick up their wing wang. If you want the quick summary of why I work with demons as opposed to archangels, is because demons can get things done, and I was directed to go in that direction by my spirits. If my spirits would have directed me to work with archangels, I would probably work with archangels, but I don't. I did work with the saints prior to the demons, right? Like 180. But I didn't like the saints. They were very last minute. We will help you in very dire situations only. And I was like, no. Mm-mm. You work for me. If I need something done and we have a relationship going, like, help me. So that's your commercial version. Just meant other. Well, I do work with spirits, and I do work with the Morrigan. So it's not just demons. Lately, I started communicating with a new demon Persian. I might share some of those workings. I also have an interesting series that I've got to edit, and I got to figure out if I want to add more videos to it. Right now, it's 5. And with it being 5, it's done. It's all, it just needs to be edited. But Practical Witchcraft did pretty well. Sort of. Like, you guys seem to like it. So I'm going to do a more practical version of that called The Craft. And we're going to, like, step by step go through how to do things. A lot of it is actual workings or just rituals. Nothing too crazy, nothing too complicated. But I might add more episodes to it. Or I might push it out and then just continuously add more episodes to it until like it gets finished. But I'm really excited. So yeah, I hope you guys like this series. You guys got to be a part of a series with me. We did it one episode every day. And I was just like, this will help somebody, hopefully. That was the whole point. I wanted to help somebody. I wanted to help somebody because there wasn't anybody to help me when I started. So hopefully this helps somebody.